Hello students, I am Dr. Ashish Kumar Suri and welcome to Revision Summary Part 8 of Unit 8 of Management. In today's session, we will discuss a very important part of operation research that we started in the last session. These are PERT and CPM, Program Evaluation Review Technique and Critical Path Method. This is the most important part of operation research as per the trend of previous examination. You can expect 1 to 2 questions from this part. The expected mark will be 1 to 2 and the difficulty level will range from moderate to difficult. Now, PERT and CPM, they are part of network analysis. What is a network? A network is a graphic presentation of the interrelationship among all the activities of a project. Now, in a project, there are various activities. These activities are connected with each other in the sense that some of the activities cannot be started before the finish of some other activities. A particular activity will be the starting activity. A particular activity will be the end activity. So we can say that there is a relationship between various activities of a project. If we will draw a graphical presentation of this interrelationship among the activities of a project, then the graph is known as what? A network. I will show you a diagram in the later part. There are two techniques of network analysis. These are for program evaluation review technique and critical path method. So these are the two most widely used project planning methods. We will start with critical path method. A CPM is a networking methodology which is employed to find the minimum time required to complete the project and at the same time identify the sequence of tasks to be performed. So what we are doing in critical path method, we are identifying the minimum time which is required to complete the project. CPM is used in identifying the precedence relationship among various tasks of a project. Now, precedence relationship means that what is the relationship between various activities. This means which activity will start after the completion of a particular activity. That is what precedence relationship. So we are finding out the minimum required time to complete the project. We are also identifying the sequence of tasks to be performed. So we will list out all the tasks. After that, we will find out the sequence in which these tasks or the activities must be performed. So hence, we are finding out the precedence relationship among various tasks. There are certain important terms in critical path method. You have to remember these terms, so it is important. First is activity. So an activity is a task which must be completed in order to finish the project. An activity means a particular task, okay, that must be completed in order to finish the project. Activities consume resources and time and have a definite starting and end point. There will be a proper or a particular starting point and a particular end point of all the activities. So, for example, if we are constructing a flyover, so there will be various activities which are involved in the construction of the flyover. So these activities consume resources in terms of manpower, in terms of material, in terms of time, in terms of money. Now every activity in this project will have a definite start and end point, that at when a particular activity will start and when it will finish. It is represented by an arrow. Remember, an activity is represented by an arrow like this. I will show it to you in the later part. Event. An event is the outcome of an activity or group of activities. An event means either the starting of an activity or either the finish of an activity. It represents the completion of some activities and beginning of some new activities. So every event will be finish of some activity or more than one activity and will be the beginning of one or more than one activities. An event is also referred to as a node or a connector and is generally depicted by a circle. So we represent an event by a circle like this. So this is how we represent activity and events. So you can see this arrow. This arrow represents an activity. This is what the tail of the arrow, and this is what the head of the arrow. So the tail of the arrow represents starting of an activity, while the head represents end of an activity. Then you can see two circles. These circles are what? Events. Okay. So event are represented by circle. This is what the start event, because this activity A starts from here. Okay. And this event is the end event of this particular activity A. Okay. So these are events and uh, activity. And the network diagram, in the network diagram we draw events or nodes and activities or arrows like this to show the precedence relationship between various activities. It is there in the later part. I will explain you. Now, critical path, it is the longest path of interrelated activities. Remember, it is the longest path of interrelated activities with zero slack time, or it is the shortest time in which the project can be completed. This definition is very important. Okay, understood it very carefully. Critical path is the longest path. This means that this first activity is the starting activity and sixth activity is the last activity. If we have to reach from activity 1 to activity 6, there are various paths like 1 to 2, then 2 to 5, 5 to 6, from 1 to 6, from 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, from 1 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6. These are the various paths from which we can reach from event 1 to event 6. All these paths will have different durations. So the numbers written on the activity shows the duration of a particular activity. So the critical path is the path which is having the longest duration. So out of all these paths which I have told you, the critical path will be the one which has the longest duration. Okay, now all the activity means these arrows. The activities on the critical path will have zero slack time. Remember this, okay, carefully. Now, slack time means the time by which an activity can be delayed. So, all the critical activities, the activities which are lying on the critical path are known as critical activities. All the critical activities cannot be delayed even by a single day or by a single unit of time. Otherwise, it will delay the duration of the entire project. So, the critical activities will have zero slack time. And the critical path also shows the shortest time. This shows the shortest time in which the project can be completed, because we are not delaying any activity on the critical path. So it shows the shortest time. So it is the longest path. Okay, while it shows the shortest time. Remember this. The critical path consists of all those activities which, if delayed, will result in the delay in project completion. If the critical activities will get delayed, the entire project will get delayed. The activities lying on the critical path are known as critical activities, and the remaining activities are known as non-critical activities. So in this particular diagram, the activities which are shown by double arrow are what? The critical activity. So the path 1 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 6 is the critical path, and it has the longest duration. Okay, we will check 20 plus 15, 35, 35 plus 16, 51. So the duration of critical path in this case will be 51. If these timing are in days, so it will be 51 days. All other paths other than the critical path, means all non-critical path, will have a lesser duration than 51 days. Okay, you can check. Other paths will definitely have lesser duration. Okay, so the activity this and this. Okay, these three activities are the critical activities, and we cannot delay these activities by a single day or by a single unit of time. Now, activity times, as activities cannot start until their start tail event, are complete. Okay, so like these are the events, and this is what an this is what a particular activity. Okay, so an activity cannot start. This is what the starting of an activity cannot start until their tail event. This is what the tail event are complete. जब तक ये event complete नहीं हो जाता तब तक ये activity start नहीं हो सकती, and must not finish after their finish or head event must start. और जब तक ये event, ये कौन सा event है, finish event, जब तक ये start नहीं हो जाता तब तक ये activity finish नहीं हो सकती. Okay, so the start and finish events time can be considered to be fixed, to be fixed to fix the boundaries between which activities can move. Four important activity times are as follows. These are the four important activity times in critical path method. First one is the earliest start time. It is the earliest possible time at which an activity can start. So जल्दी से जल्दी हम किसी activity को at the earliest most when we can start an activity, that is what the earliest start time, and it is given by the earliest time of the start event. It is given by the earliest time of the start event. This is the start event of this particular activity. Earliest finish time, it is the earliest possible time at which an activity can finish. So jaldi se jaldi, earliest to earliest when we can finish a particular activity, and it is given by adding the duration time to the earliest start time. So this activity will have a particular duration time, say t. So we will add t to the earliest start time that we have calculated here. Then latest finish time, late to late when we can finish a particular activity. It is the latest possible time at which an activity can finish. It is found by adding the latest event time of the finish event. The latest start time, it late to late when we can start an activity. This indicates the maximum amount of time that can elapse before an activity begins if the project is to be completed by scheduled time. So the critical activities, in case of critical activity, the latest time will be the same as that of the earliest start time, because we cannot delay these activities. Okay, so in case of critical activity, because we cannot delay. Okay, so the earliest start time and latest start time are same in case of the critical activities. Now slack time, it refers to the amount of time that an activity can be delayed from its early start time without delaying the project duration. So this is the delay that in a particular activity that may occur, so that the duration of project will not get affected due to that particular delay. Okay, if that activity and other activities take their estimated durations. So in case of critical activity, there will be no slack time. So for critical activities, we use the word float instead of slack time. And for events, we use the word slack. Remember this. For activities, we use the word float, while for events, we use the word slack. So the critical activities will have zero float. Okay, while the critical events means the events which joins the critical activity will have zero slack time. So critical activity have zero total float time, while critical event have zero slack time. Remember, this is very important. Okay. Now next is program evaluation review technique, or PERT. It is used for planning and scheduling projects so that all activities are completed in the shortest possible time. There are certain important terms in PERT also. These are optimistic time. It means the minimum amount of time in which an activity can be completed under ideal condition. This means if everything go well as per the plan, then the time taken by the activity is what the optimistic time. So for example, say you are manufacturing some goods if everything will go as per the plan, this means if the workers will come on time, if there will be no power cut, if there will be no shortages of the raw material, if there will be no breakdown in the machinery, everything go as per the plan. The work start on the time, right? Then the amount of time that you will take to manufacture the given quantity of good will be the optimistic time. But it does not happen all the time that everything will go as per the plan. There will be some situations in which there will be a halt in the or there will be a stoppage in the production. So every time we will not have the optimistic time. Pessimistic time, it is the time for an activity. Pessimistic time for an activity is the maximum amount of time required to complete the activity if everything goes wrong in a series. Now, if everything goes wrong, the worker will not come on time, there will be a power cut, there is untimely supply of raw material, there is a breakdown in the machinery also, then everything goes wrong in a series and the total time required to manufacture the good will get delayed at the each stage. So that time will be the pessimistic time. Okay. Then most likely time. Every time we will not have pessimistic time. Every time we will not have optimistic time. Okay. Then we have most likely time. It is a time which the activity will take most frequently. Okay. If performed number of times. So sometime there will be some delays, okay, due to some factors, like there may be a delay in the availability of raw material, but other things will go as per the plan. Okay, so that time is what the most likely time. So there will be delay due to some factors, but there will not be any delay due to some other factors, and most of the time this happens. So this is the most likely time. Now managers arrive at this time according to their experience or by studying the past data. Now, what will be the expected time? The expected time will be calculated on the basis of optimistic time, pessimistic time, and most likely time. So, it represents the mean activity time of the optimistic, pessimistic, and most likely time. It is calculated by using this formula T naught plus 4Tm plus Tp divided by 6. Here T naught is the optimistic time, Tm is the most probable time, okay, or most likely time, Tp is the pessimistic time, right? So this is the formula to calculate expected time of an event, of an activity in PERT, especially okay, it is used only in PERT, not in CPM. If you want to calculate the variance, variance means the square of standard deviation. So if you want to calculate the variance of activity, the formula is Tp minus T naught divided by 6 whole square. Again here Tp is pessimistic time, T naught is optimistic time. So remember this formula, question may come on this, numerical may not come, but maybe you will be asked the formula of expected time or the variance in PERT. These formulas are related only to PERT, not CPM. Remember it very carefully. Now, CPM and PERT method provides some information like estimated completion time of the project, in what time we can complete the project, status of the project, whether it is behind, ahead, or on schedule, expenditure incurred during the project and its comparison with the budgeted amount, whether sufficient resources are available to complete the project on time, and activities that are critical for project completion and those which are not critical and can be delayed without delaying the project. Okay. Now there are certain differences between PERT and CPM. This is the most important part, right? Okay. Now, PERT, it is a project management technique used to manage certain activities, uncertain activities of a project. Okay, PERT is used in case of uncertain activities. This means when the activity timings are not known in advance, and that's why we have used formula, this formula to calculate the timing of uncertain activities. So PERT is used in case of uncertain activities, while in case of CPM, it is a statistical technique of project management that manages well-defined activities of a project. In case of CPM, the activity timings are already known in advance, right? So it does not deal with uncertain activities. PERT is event oriented while CPM is activity oriented. PERT is probabilistic model because we use various probabilities of different activities, while CPM is deterministic model. We have already determined the timing of various activities in advance. So CPM is deterministic model. PERT focus on time while CPM focus on time cost trade-off. Trade-off means a compromise. In PERT, we have three time estimates. We have already seen optimistic time, pessimistic time, and most likely time. While in CPM, we have only one timing. PERT is used in management of unpredictable activities, or we have seen uncertain activities. While CPM is used in case of predictable activities, जिनका टाइमिंग हमें पहले से ही मालूम है. PERT is used in case the nature of job is non-repetitive, while CPM is used for when nature of job is repetitive. Crushing concept, although this is not in our course, but please remember, crushing concept is not applicable in case of PERT, but it is applicable in case of CPM. Critical and non-critical activities, PERT does not differentiate between critical and non-critical activities, while CPM differentiate between critical and non-critical activities. This we have seen in a diagram when we discuss PERT and CPM. Okay, now we will see some example. So this is the question from June 19 examination. PERT is probabilistic in nature and CPM is deterministic in nature. I have just told you, look, PERT is probabilistic while CPM is deterministic. So statement 1 is correct. First, PERT is most suitable for new as well as old project, but CPM is of great value for projects that are repetitive. This is wrong. PERT is used in case of non-repetitive project, while CPM is used in case of repetitive project. PERT focuses primarily on time element and attaches lesser significance to cost. On the contrary, CPM puts strong emphasis on cost. We have seen this also, that look, CPM is a time cost trade-off while PERT focus on timing and not on cost. So this is true. PERT is activity oriented and CPM is event oriented. This is wrong. PERT is event oriented while CPM is activity oriented. So the correct statements are A and C, and we will find this in board 4. So this is the right answer. The following statements relate to project network. Choose the correct code for the statements being correct or incorrect. An activity cannot be represented by more than one arrow, but an arrow can represent one or more activities. This is wrong. We have seen an arrow can represent only one activity, where this is the starting of an activity, this is the end of an activity. An arrow cannot represent more than one activity. The activities in a critical path can be preponed or postponed. This is also wrong. I have told you, the critical activities means the activities on the critical path cannot be delayed, and even they cannot be preponed also. So both the statements are wrong. So both statement 1 and 2 are incorrect. This is the right option. Again, we have given 3 statements. This question is from July 18 examination. The critical path has been defined as the longest duration path between the first and the last node of a project. Yes, this is true. Critical path is the longest path among all the possible paths. The duration of a project is not always the same as the duration of its critical path. This statement is wrong. Duration must be same as that of the critical path, because critical path is what? The longest duration path, or it is the shortest time in which the project can be completed. The earliest start and finish time of an activity are based on the condition that every activity will not be started and finished as early as possible. No, this is also wrong. It depends on the starting and the finish timing of the nodes. This we have already discussed when we discussed the activity timings. So only statement 1 is correct. So statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 and 3 are not correct. So this is the right answer. So students, if you are preparing for IIT, JAM, CSIR, NET and NTA UGC-NET, then you can buy study material from Eduncle. This will definitely help you to crack your examination. You can also download the app of Eduncle from your Google Play Store. On this app, you will find support of more than 250 faculties who will help you to solve your queries. Okay, thank you very much.